Hey everyone, Dan here, and today I'm going to attempt to do a Q&A video in the heat and in the middle of British summer. This is a really good idea, he says. So I know that this Q&A has been a bit of a kerfuffle. I've kind of announced it, then cancelled it, then reintroduced it, and I do apologise for all the confusion. It's just like timings and all that. Yeah, it's just been a bit of a mess, but it's here now, so you know we're all good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off the Q&A by answering questions that I got on the original video, and then towards the end of the second half of the Q&A, I'll answer questions that I got on the kind of the newer video. So, because I've still got the other comments from the old video, I've got them saved, so that's all okay. So let's get to them. So the first batch of questions, since we're halfway through the year, what movies do you plan to watch in the coming months? I know you have your letterbox list, but you've seen most of them, so I'm curious to what are the priority films and what are the films. So basically, what films I'm going to watch for the rest of the year. So yeah, I mentioned this in the January video, but I've got on Letterboxd a list of like the big 16, which are like 16 critically acclaimed films that I sort of said to myself, I'm going to watch these this year. And to be fair, I've watched the majority of them. So I've got through quite a lot of them. But yeah, for films not on that list, there's a few that I'm keen to watch. Some scary movies for Halloween. I've got a few ideas of what I want to watch. Donnie Darko, even though that's on that list. The Sixth Sense, someone recommended me that, so I'll check that out. 28 Days Later, Shutter Island, The Fly, a few like scary films that I want to watch near Halloween time. There's also a few films that I'm kind of keen to rewatch, ones that I have seen before that I'm just keen to revisit. And also as well, the other week I got this, which is a little box set of some Stanley Kubrick films. It's specifically 2001: A Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, The Shining, which I've already seen years ago, and Full Metal Jacket. As I say, I've seen The Shining years ago, although I might watch it at Halloween. Clockwork Orange I'm not watching for years because it's way too dark and depraved even for me. 2001: A Space Odyssey is one I'm really excited to watch, but I feel like you have to be really in the right mindset to watch it because it's quite a lot. So Full Metal Jacket is the one that I'm most keen to watch as soon as possible. So maybe expect that on the August ranking. I don't know, but that's Full Metal Jacket. There you go. Thoughts on the new Sonic Screwdriver? Ah, yeah, the new David Tennant 60th anniversary one. I don't really know what I think of it. I think I need to see it in action first because I don't think stills and just seeing images, I don't think it does it justice. But it's an alright design. I think it's definitely like an amalgamation of previous designs because of the anniversary. Obviously, you've got bits of the Tennant Sonic. Obviously, you've got the claws, which are like Matt Smith's Sonic. I think I need to see an action first because I don't really know what I think of it. Yeah, I'm kind of neutral at the minute. What would you call your weakness song? By that I mean, what's a song that will always move you emotionally no matter where you listen to it? And for you, there's a song from When Marnie Was There. That's a Ghibli film I really want to watch, When Marnie Was There. I don't know. I've been stumped on this question for the past couple of weeks because, like, weakness song. I think it's the fact that you call it a weakness song. Like, does it have to be one that makes you sad? Because a lot of like songs that move me emotionally, it's more in a positive way. Where like sometimes like songs from my childhood to like the late noughties and early tens and whatnot, kind of songs from that era make me quite nostalgic. So in a way, it moves me emotionally, but not in a weak way, but like in a kind of positive sort of bittersweet way. So I think it's you calling it a weakness song that's really stumped me. What are you, a Cyberman? Yeah, see this guy, that's you who asked that question. This is them. Emotion is a weakness. Ah, excellent. This isn't even the Earth Shock, it's the Invasion Cyberman, for God's sake. Thoughts on the Barbenheimer trend? Ah yeah, Barbie and Oppenheimer. I've only seen Oppenheimer, I haven't seen Barbie. I've been listening to the Ken song and it's an absolute, it's so catchy. It's so catchy, I'm just Ken. Anyway, the actual trend, it's such a weird phenomenon. Like you can't sort of manufacture it. It just happens because of internet culture and meme culture. And that's a great thing, the thing for, these two so different films. One's like a fantasy comedy, the other's a 3-hour biopic about the creation of the atomic bomb. They're so weird, and the fact that they're coming out on the same day was mad. But the fact that people just made memes about it and it wasn't a competition, it just aided both films. And I think that's just a great thing, like culturally, that this kind of phenomenon brought people together, brought people to cinema. So like economically and financially, cinemas did really well and these films did really well. I mean, Barbie crossed $1 billion at the box office, so that's really good. And I can't speak for Barbie because I haven't seen it, but Oppenheimer, I think the fact that people are so interested in, because Oppenheimer isn't your typical blockbuster. It requires you to really pay attention. It's a 3-hour biopic drama where it's mostly just blokes in rooms talking, and people are engaged in it. And for me, it's not left my mind. It's really impacted me, And that's a great thing that cinema can do when it's not just big, flashy, superhero spectacle all the time. That's really tiring now. But I think it's a net positive completely, this trend. It's such a weird phenomenon, but it's just so, it's great to just so you can say, I was around when this happened. That doesn't come all the time, and it's great. Got any more film analysis videos planned? I have. I've got one. I've said this on like Shaun of the Dead. I think I've mentioned that in a couple of videos previously. But I actually, that video, I found the script for it that I wrote back in like November. The points I made in that video, I'm fine with. I need to rewrite it because the actual script, there is no flow to it. It really just, it's such a rigid script of how it comes across. It needs another draft. Okay, next bunch of questions. Thoughts on the new season 20 box set? Oh yeah, the season 20, the Pete Davidson season, the 20th anniversary season. That's been announced as the next Doctor Who Blu-ray classic set. That's quite exciting actually, because they haven't done a Pete Davidson season since like 2018 for season 19. And I don't have a Davidson season, so, you know, I will get it, even though season 20 is not a season that I'm mad on. I've not really seen much of it, to be fair, but that's kind of a reason I will get it. But yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. I think it's quite fitting as well, you know, 20th anniversary season in the 60th anniversary. Yeah, I think it's quite fitting that they do that. So yeah, there's no problem with that. So yeah. And least favourite story from each Doctor. So quick fire round. Hartnell, the Web Planet, Troughton, the Dominators, Pertwee, Planet of the Spiders, Tom Baker, the Leisure Hive, Davison, Warriors of the Deep, Colin, Time Lash, McCoy, Paradise Towers, McGann, I'm going to skip over, Eccleston, The End of the World, Tennant, New Earth, Matt Smith, either Wedding River Song or Asylum of the Daleks. I'm torn between those two. Capaldi, Hellbent, and Jodie, the Saranga Conundrum. I am actually really excited to, when I do future Q&As, once like the 60th anniversary stuff and Series 14 and Shooty Gatwas era as sort of broadcast, I'm really excited to see these kind of questions and see how the new episodes are going to sort of fit into our rankings and what will be the highlights and the kind of lesser liked stuff of the I think it's really exciting, the really exciting kind of prospect. Which classic Doctor Who villain would you like to see brought back in the revival? For me, it's the Rani. I'm not that fussed on the Rani coming back, to be honest. I mean, fair enough if you are, but I mean, I enjoyed the Rani stories enough from like the 80s, but I think, I can't remember who said this, but the Rani only kind of works in the context of that kind of campy late 80s Doctor Who, because Kate O'Mara, the actress, she was kind of played into the kind of campy nature of the stories. So I don't know how it would work in a kind of modern context. I don't know. And also, I would like to see just more like original Time Lord characters. I think that'd be kind of cool. I mean, the canon's broken anyway, so who cares? You just, you know, yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, I'd like to see a new character. But as for villains I'd like to see the Mara, you know, from the Davison era, you know, the Kinder and Snake Dance. I really love Kinder. That's one of my favourites from Peter Davison's era. I think it's really, I think over time I've started to really like really surreal, trippy, dreamlike stuff. You know, I really love Mulholland Drive. I love The Lighthouse. I love kind of trippy stuff. And so have the kind of, I mean, the dream sequences in that story look really great anyway in Kinder. Have like modern effects. I think there's some really great potential that you could have with that. Okay, got some questions from Mr. R Productions, and we're going to be doing a podcast soon, so that's exciting. Anyway, first question, I've already answered it. What are your thoughts on Barbenheimer? As I said, it's a great cultural thing. Do you ever watch many horror films? If so, what's your favourite scary movie? Oh my god, it's Ghostface here. What's your favourite scary movie? Obviously, I mentioned earlier that I wanted to watch some horror films at Halloween that I've mentioned, but I love horror films. I think there's some of my favourites, like Alien, The Thing, The Shining. They're some of my favourite horror films of all time, and they are horror films, obviously. I've seen some fantastic horror films this year, like Hereditary and The Lighthouse. And I think horror is quite an underrated genre, because I think people kind of trash it because it's kind of, oh, it's just gore, sex and violence. And I think when you get the really good horror films, as I mentioned some of those, you know, they can really tap into your psyche in a way, kind of like psychological horror, there's so much that you can do. I think when they go to waste with just like crappy sequels and remakes, and just when it is just like blood and guts and nothing else, that's when it gets that kind of negative stigma. But when you have, you know, some of these films that I mentioned, like The Lighthouse, Hereditary, Shining, Alien, Alien's probably my favourite, by the way, they can really play on your mind and really creep you out, I think. Do you have any particular actors who inspire you and who you draw from where you act? I don't know. It depends on what kind of, it depends on kind of what kind of thing, because you wouldn't take inspiration necessarily from Robin Williams if you were doing a Shakespearean, if you did Macbeth.
You can also imagine maybe John Wayne as Macbeth going, well, is this a dagger I see before me?
it's kind of apples and oranges. It depends on what the play would be and what the character is. So if it was sort of a more comedic thing or something, a musical where it's more light-hearted and fun, then, you know, actors like Robin Williams, for example, probably actually. Actors like Roger Moore. If I'm doing a musical, I always like to kind of have the suave, kind of fun side. And so Roger Moore, actually, I've just realised, I do take a lot from. And favourite performance you've ever done on stage? That's a good one. I think I'm going to say, when I did a production at school of Macbeth, I played a banquet, if you're interested, but that's for me the one I'm most proud of, I think. Because a lot of the time schools tend to do musicals just because they want to combine the talents of both the actors and the music students and whatnot. But doing Macbeth, doing Shakespeare, I think was a lot more what I prefer. I prefer kind of just straight-faced acting. I'm not as big on like musicals. And I think Macbeth is the one that I'm most proud of because, you know, a teenager of modern day, learning like Shakespearean dialect and understanding it, I think through just like really good direction from our director / teacher. You know, they really made you understand the language and what the words meant, and so when you understand it, you can apply the emotions of, okay, what, you know, it's just having like those kind of building blocks, and you can really understand what the characters feel and what they're saying, and then just add your emotions to it. And I think I'm really proud of that. And I just genuinely really enjoyed exploring that character and the different aspects of him and how it kind of informs his character decisions and the performance choices I would make. And yeah, it's the most in-depth and the most in-depth I've got on a character in a play that I've done. Yeah, I always find the ones that are a bit more challenging the most rewarding in the end of the day. Because I feel like sometimes musicals, it's not, they can be quite broadly written, the characters, and what I find sometimes, especially the ones that I've played, there's not loads to them, and so it doesn't always feel the most rewarding when compared to, say, something like Macbeth, where, you know, it was very rewarding playing that character because of how you got to engage with it on that level. Okay, next one's, I've seen reports about the high temperatures and fires in Europe this summer. Thankfully, we've not had that in England, or at least I've not in my area. Anyway, has your summer in England been hotter than normal? Has you had less rain? And if so, have you enjoyed the weather? The weather in England is more inconsistent than Doctor Who Flux. One day like this, it can be absolutely boiling. The next day, it can be absolutely belting down with rain. There's no luck. It's just pot luck these days. What place in Europe would you most like to visit on holiday? Either Paris or Rome. Okay, the next question is a bit of a joke question because it's like an Arizonian thing. If you had to try and choose between eating tacos every day or being skinny for the rest of your life, what would you choose? Would you choose hard and soft tacos? I don't like tacos anyway, so sorry. I love the video you did the night it was snowing, especially the long trip down the street. Do you plan to make any more vignettes like that? The invisible killer. That's really annoying because I'm really proud of that video. It's probably one of the best videos I've done, definitely this year. I love that short film, and I want to make more short films, but it's finding the right inspiration. Inspiration comes at the most inconvenient of times. You know, I was doing, when I did that was just, oh, let's take a picture of the snow. Oh, let's take a video of the snow. Let's do some stock footage of me in the snow just so you can use it. And then, you know, it's like a snowball effect. It just ended up as a short film. I ended up crafting a little narrative out of it. But yeah, I'm really proud of that one, and I would love to do more short films like that, but it's just finding the right kind of story and just finding something that's actually worth making. Are there any people from British history, such as Queen Boudica, King Arthur, Churchill, that you admire and would like to make a movie about someday? Let's make a Liz Truss movie.
I am a fighter and not a quitter.
Oh wait, the question said that you admire. I don't admire Liz Truss one bit. Okay, I was actually thinking, it's not technically a British person, but it's to do with British history. I came up with an idea for a film a bit ago, basically, if you've seen the Quentin Tarantino film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's kind of like that, but set in like British TV. So like it'd be like Once Upon a Time in television, and like set during the 1960s and kind of exploring like old-fashioned TV. Because I do find the late 60s the kind of really interesting time. Like it's a sort of a transitional period. I don't know. It feels really. I'd love to make a movie about the 60s. It's always a fascinating kind of period of history for me. Just generally. Are there any particular actors, actresses, or directors that you would like to hang around with for a few days to learn things from? I don't know. I mean, it'd be pretty cool to some of like the classic sort of old like Hollywood directors. That'd be kind of cool. So the thing is, though, a lot of them were kind of arseholes. Like Hitchcock, great director, bit dodgy. Stanley Kubrick, again, great director. not the best person. Tarantino, actually, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of, just have a chat. And the last question, if you were to be cast in a production of The Wizard of Oz, which character would you be best suited to play? The Tin Man, the Scarecrow, the Lion, or the Wizard himself? Funny you should ask that, actually. The Wizard of Oz was the very first thing I ever acted in. Yeah, The Wizard of Oz was the first school play that I ever did, or at least I remember doing at the age of, I think, how old was I? I was like 5 years old or something. But yeah, I was one of the Oz Bunch kids, so, you know. But of those characters, I reckon the Wizard probably, because, I mean, one, practically it's probably better than being, you know, caked and all that in the makeup and the big, you know, cumbersome costume, especially with the Lion. You're just going to melt on stage in that costume. But also, like, with certain things I can do with acting, I think the Wizard, the kind of quirky sort of side, but kind of having that sense of control and authority around everything, I think I probably, because I think maybe the Wizard. And that is the last question. So, as I say, sorry this Q&A has been a bit of a kerfuffle to get out. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.